Hell, it's Base Trade TV.
Alright, I may need to restart my exploit here, guys. I'm seeing some serious delay. We'll see how this goes. We're almost at the end, though, so I'll try and get through it if I can. For now, though, this is game number 2 in this best of 3, and this is, I didn't put enough emphasis on this before, guys, this is a qualifying match. One of these two will qualify through this best of 3 for WCS America Season 2 Challenger League in Europe. I'm Rifkin, you're watching Base Trade TV, and Spawny here in the top left corner of the map. He's Pink, he's Zerk, he's from Vega Squadron. Can he bring it back? It's gonna be Dana. And Demuslim, as you guys will note, has stopped making SCVs at 8. Spawning in the lower right corner of the map, going for cheese once again. Give it up for this ballsy purple Terran player, Demuslim. Of course, representing Evil Geniuses. I hope there's not an FPS drop on the stream, but I'm definitely feeling an FPS drop in game. So I may have to fiddle with this if this goes to game number 3, but this is a strange map for this to be going down on. No, I take that back. It's not the map that's strange for this, but it's the choice of location in which he chooses to build the 888 racks. For those who don't know, real quick, catch you up with StarCraft 2. This is going to be Reapers. A lot of people have been abusing this back cliff, and I've been trying to point this out in all my casts because I want people to be aware that this cliff exists on both sides of the map, because a lot of people don't know about the one over here. It's not as obvious. It kind of looks like it blends in with the terrain. But this is like a Yansu map. You can hop in and out of the base with Reapers over here. But Demuslim opting not to put his barracks over here, because last time he did this yesterday during the qualifiers, it was scouted immediately, but instead places it in a much stranger location over here. Now this is still a pathway he can get to the main, no problem. But Dana's going for a pool first. Not pool gas, unfortunately, so he's not expecting Reapers of any degree, but especially not an 888. And we're going to actually have that the hatchery come down anyway, so not expecting cheese in the slightest. If Dana had gone for a drone scout, he would have seen immediately that there was a severe lack of SCVs back at home. Oh, that could have been really good for him, but we'll see how much Demuslim can do. This is... Whoa. Okay, he saw the bunker. Okay, this is a ballsy move, guys, like, to say the least. But drones are getting pre-pulled. It's not an 11-11. It is, in fact, a Reaper, and he realizes this. Knowing that he can't do too much with the drones, backs up. And this bunker is not in range of anything to do damage. And very much so on purpose. This is meant to be sort of that healing location for the Reaper. The safe place for it to hide out so he doesn't have to fully fall back. And continue to apply pressure and cut, more importantly, any sort of reinforcements from the main to the natural. However, on top of this, as we see, high ground vision is another benefit it provides. Oh man, for Demuslim this is not a great start. But he's doing the denial. He's forcing lings instead of drones. He's got the queens already popped out. But Dana hasn't exactly cut workers while this is going on. For Demuslim, he's already caught up on worker count. He's not going to be too worried about falling behind. And honestly, there's really two follow-ups. Either you do enough damage, you macro out of this. Ooh, losing that SCV was big. But you do enough damage to macro out of this, or you go and follow up with even further cheese. So maybe you slap down some Banshees to follow it up, go for some Cloak, but still investing the Reapers for the time being. Lings are being picked off, and the drone has finally been killed. 2 Queens are going to start being a little bit better, but 3 Reapers is when you start killing Queens. And he actually managed to maintain that Reaper, which is really worth noting. Spore Crawler gets killed, not even cancelled, so gets more than the drone, but also the 100 it costs for that Spore Crawler. That's a little devastating. I don't think Dana's expecting this sort of pressure coming his way, but more Queens are necessary. Still no speed available just yet. He does have gas coming, but 3 Queens are going to keep poking this back. 1 Reaper that is healing up is staying extra safe, because Demuslim knows the idea behind Reapers is you need to snowball them. They're really good when you can get ahead. But if you even lose 1, even at this point, after he's gotten a couple of cool kills, even if he loses 1, it could still cost him the ability to really cause damage. Now microing this back, we see him bringing it back in for more. One of these queens very, very low, and there's not really any transfuse energy available on all but 1 queen. Another one almost has enough. There we go, just slap down a transfuse with this queen in the back. 9 HP. Not a lot of fun for Dana to have to deal with, but he is controlling this well, and this could be going much, much worse. Demuslim's actually going to get caught there a little bit, so he couldn't fully regen. But 5 Reapers now. Oh my goodness. A command center's come down behind this and a factory on the way. No second gas, so we're probably not going to see cloaked Banshees or anything of this like, but still dedicating to this attack, and his worker count hasn't exactly fallen behind this. But Dana didn't cut either. Dana's been continuing to increase his drone count while this has been happening, waiting patiently for that metabolic boost, not extending off a creep, knowing that he has to deal with these Reapers. But the problem is, by the time metabolic boost is done, he may not even have enough Zerglings to really truly engage this. 4 Queens though do need to get involved and save these drones, rushes to the front lines, but again, it's all about waiting for that metabolic boost. The timer on this too is ticking. Demuslim's starting to back away a little bit from this because he knows that, alright, he hit early so Dana didn't take gas immediately. And this, because he initially scouted no gas being taken, he knew that this wasn't going to be the 6-minute metabolic boost that you normally see, but instead closer to 7.5, 8. Demuslim knows his time is somewhat limited, but the problem is there's enough Reapers that even Speedlings can't charge head on in. They need Queen support to do any real damage. The barracks has actually been lifted, hilariously enough, to provide that vision and perhaps distract the Queens a little bit. Drone was sent out to make a third behind this, a rather bold move, because Demuslim could technically kill it. Again, baiting Lings away from the Queens, because the Queens are the one thing really keeping these back. But, alright, now this is the problem when you start getting towards the mid-game. What do you do with 6 Reapers? These are units that fall off with their effectiveness as time goes on significantly. Marines grow with effectiveness as time goes on. Upgrades, Stimpaks, combat shields all add to their benefit, but Reapers are just kind of stuck the way they are. They will soak some hits for these Hellions, which would be really nice, and the barracks is still providing a lot of vision for him. But as he wraps around here to the third, there's no real answer to it. Dana, he needs more legs. He's been droning and droning and droning, and that's not a bad idea, but perhaps droning a little too much because he's got no army value to fight with. Just queens and oh gosh, how many Lings? Like 18? Ugh. But actually, with 18 Lings across the other side of the map, Demuslim does have a wall up, so these unfortunately will not cause the damage of a counterattack he wanted to. If this wall was not up, Dana would have just made a really, really good move, but unfortunately forced to come home. Maybe in the best case scenario could sandwich the Reapers between the Zerglings on this side and the Queens on this side, but that doesn't look to be the case. There's too many Hellions, and there's a lot of Reapers to tank for those Hellions. That's what makes this so scary. Again, 5 Reapers, it's a pretty good amount of damage. The reason Reapers are no good is because they're so flimsy. But, oh, Queen doesn't get transfused, almost gets it dead. Still, though, these Hellions left somewhat unscathed. Dana's got some roaches popping out now, but the barracks is finally going to go down. Woo! More barracks have been made behind this, and Demuslim is playing bio, not making any risks into mech. We did see him do this earlier today. He almost lost the game where he went mech off of a very successful 2 racks, but instead sticking with bio, knowing what works and what doesn't. And if there's a lot of roaches in play, there's not going to be a lot of Mutalisks available to snipe off those medevacs, so I really like his choice to follow up. Now, we got the +1 weapons on the way, and the starport has begun. Still, it will be a little bit of time, but he's keeping the pressure on with these Reapers the best he can. He knows he can't really engage the roaches head on, but still tagging them and tickling them. If he could get around to that third, wrap around it, and completely pick it off, that'd be great. He did cancel it once already, worth noting, but still, Dana is, I don't know, not exactly breakable, but he can't break this force either. Not until Roach Speed were out or something, but he's not going to be going for Roach Speed, still investing in the Banelings and the Zerglings. I think it's Overlord. How much information did this reveal? Okay, the Overlord getting in now is going to confirm that it's bio. This is really important, because this will determine further tech upgrades. We got 1-1 for the Lings out, and that's fine. And if you wasted it because it's mecha, not a big deal. But investing in 2-2, he's going to feel a little bit better knowing that it's tons of Marines. Sees the double engineering base. He knows this is not going to be mech out of Demuslim. Now, it's worth noting, too, these rocks we always talk about sometimes on this map is... they're normally a detriment. You worry about having this back door that could be opened up at some point in the game, but Dana could use this to his advantage, actually. If he knocks these down, he'll have a lot more pathways to run around once he gets those Mutalisks in play. The reason he doesn't do it now, of course, is the fear of this kind of slipping through. There's still so many Reapers and Hellions. Even the Roaches have got to start being a little bit careful at this point. But the third base has been saturated. Again, joining like crazy behind this. This guy, we gotta give him props for that too. If we can just like a small side note to Dana, win or lose. Like the fact that he's able to keep his cool and drone instead of panic and make 700 Lings is not an easy decision to make. He even picks off quite a few SCVs on the other side of the map. It looks like these will actually be cleaned up as the entire army has been brought back home. Well, they got a Hellion for it, not too bad. Still though, not exactly as ahead as I think he would like to be, but he's not in a bad spot. 2-2's on the way. Demuslim's 1-1 was severely delayed. Everything Demuslim does is going to be off-timed because of the way he had opened this game. Even investing gas into a siege tank, thinking there was going to be more roaches coming out. But it's not roaches, it's Mutalisks, it's Banelings, and it's, well, Centrifugal Hooks is going to finish up probably by the time an engagement is forced. One thing that is really nice, the roaches... Okay, they're not going to have a lot of effect going to the mid-game. They're going to be picked off apart by the Marauders. The tank's going to shred them to bits, but The one thing is they'll buffer for the banelings. They'll be on the front line stoking those hits. If the banelings can squeeze by or around, connect to this army, they'll be really, really good. But Demuslim's creating this giant anti-roach army, not an anti-ling army. We do see Marines starting to come out now, but it's I don't know. The reason you don't see tanks in TVZ anymore is often because Mutalisks will just get right on top of them. Oh, I didn't see the hatchery there. It's getting towards the end of the cast, can you tell? But yeah, with the Mutalisks coming out in a moment's time, the biggest problem with tanks, and we'll see this commonly with even some of the best tank users, Joshy's even been victim of this as well, is, you know, your tank's exposed, it's in the back, the army's falling back from the banelings trying to stim backwards, but it's really open season for Mutalisks a lot of the time. Again, my apologies on the pronunciation of a Zerg player's name. I know it's Dana. I keep trying to say Dana in my brain, but I'm reading Dana because it's I'm North American. I'm sorry, guys. Mutalisks will get past this just barely. SVs don't really die, but an engagement trying to be forced here on the right side of the map. There's a lot of banelings coming in. The siege tanks are sieged up behind this. If they focus right on top of the banelings, the roaches will still be a threat, so he's kind of got to pick and choose what he wants to fight. Second siege tank is really late to siege. Does get focused down. It looks like this army does get initially cleaned up, but that's a lot of Marines, and the roaches, without baneling support, probably don't want to engage into this. However, Demuslim will still be driven back to his reinforcements. Retaining that medevac count is really huge as well. A lot of the times as a Terran player playing Bio, you're not really focused on gas intensive units. You know, you're not making Ravens, Thors till later on, or tanks for that matter, but medevacs cost 100 gas, and they're not units you can really replace easily. So Demuslim was really smart to pull back here and not over dedicate, because he never knew where the Mutalisks were quite going to reach the army, or when, rather than not where. Am I in space or time? It's not both, you know, really deep on the stream. But the Thors are coming out here. This wall off is a bit cute too. We see him like really bunkered in here. Normally you see some players actually just straight up wall, but this time's actually just secured that little bunker placement. There are ways around this, and you can position some units here on the high ground to try and pick away at the workers, but this fourth base out of Dana, fourth base rather, I don't think is going to be that big of a deal. It'll be nice to have, but on 3 he can comfortably apply a bit of pressure. The Mutalisk count is a bit lower than you would expect to at this point, up to 14. Normally, of course, you know, Zerg players, 20 is like their comfort zone. But Marines on the high ground here found a really nice position. There's no easy way to dive into this, and Dana's saying rather than go back home, is going to go for the attack. And Demuslim, his third base is a little more valuable to him than Dana's fourth. Missile turrets are going to get on top of the Mutalisks, or rather, the Mutalisks are going to get on top of the missile turrets. Banelings take out that bunker, and that supply, oh my god, the SCVs all get killed. So many SCVs just died to those Banelings. 30 workers killed so far, and 12 from Demuslim, but still. This army should be able to chase this back. He's not going to quite get the orbital command center, I don't think, unless he chooses to really dedicate to this. But Roaches on top of the Marauders and on top of the Thor seem like a good idea. However, trades out all of his ground forces for that orbital. We'll see if that ends up working or not, because he's got to come back home to defend now. The problem is, Dana's only just made a new round of Banelings. He doesn't have round 2 or round 3 queued up and ready to go. And this Bioforce is pre-spread. Even on creep, it's pre-spread into Muslim. Normally the only reason you don't pre-spread is the threat of Mutalisks wrapping in from behind. But looks like with the Mutalisks reinforcements coming in at just the right time, mostly Marauders, not even Marines left. Actually, Dana's not going to be able to continue to advance. Again, as I pointed out, I forgot already, he didn't have that round 2 of Banelings ready to go. Still so many Marines alive. The medevacs are being targeted by the Mutalisks. This makes it a little more viable as far as the reinforcements go, but he's bleeding out these precious Mutalisks. That number rising, unfortunately. But he'll clean it up. He'll hold. The Muslims got round 2 here ready to go, though, and that's a lot of Marines, but no medevacs. Look at these overstimmed units. Here come the medevacs very far behind the army. He's got to waste a lot of energy healing these up, but Dana also has to waste a lot of time getting Banelings available, and I say waste because he doesn't have it. Time is not on his side. He's on 3 bases, sure. His economy looks great. He's got a huge gas bank, but he doesn't have a lot of Banelings to play with. Now granted, he is on 2-2, which is really nice, but the Muslim can trade all day. Marines are cheap and Bio's not a problem. He's even started to make another base while this was going on too, so not tunnel visioning and not panicking. Knocks down Dana's or prevents Dana's fourth from going up. Yeah, when 3-3 kicks in, this is going to be really nice for Demuslim. This is kind of that Terran powerhouse time we see. It's just the time where Dana is not even looking for Hive Tech, going to be stuck on 2-2 for quite some time. Does he knock down these back rocks? Still no, hasn't done that yet. May need to consider doing that in the near future. But you know, I gotta say, like, the defense was sloppy. Sorry, the defense was sloppy out of Dana. My apologies, guys. And he did take some losses, but he took out the Muslim's third, which was huge. Sorry, apparently I need to drink some water. One sec, guys. It is a mistake playing or casting intense StarCraft matches when you don't lubricate, I guess. Or hydrate, because lubricate sounds gross. Either way, the Mutalisks looking to move out once again for a bit of harass. The Muslim does have some turrets now, but not a lot. He could easily knock down one of these turrets without being in range of the other, harass that natural base. But he can't stay away for too long. He needs these units back at home. That's a lot of Banelings, but this is also a lot of bio. 24 Banelings is not enough to completely wipe this. Not even if the Muslim clumps up, I don't think. But Mutalisks will look towards the third. They cut off the reinforcements a little bit from these Marines. And that stream that you normally see across the map isn't happening. Banelings rolling in, but they're getting forced to engage off of creep. Not something Dana can afford to do. Losing a lot of his Banelings. More coming in, but again, a little bit late. As the Muslim continues to push, the Mutalisks are not home. I mean, cutting off the reinforcements is really good. This is not a bad move out of Dana, but he just doesn't have enough at home. If he has to give up this third base, he may very well need to give up the game. Actually, I take that back. He did establish a fourth, but it's not mining. These drones are idle. He's busy running for his life on this side of the map. Roaches and Banley's trying to find a way to engage, but there's just no way to do this. The Mutalisks are finally coming home, but it's only 11, not 20. These are not the Riders of Rohan here to save the day. All these Marines, though, and all these Marauders are incredibly overstimmed, and the Banley's even connecting to a lot of these units. Dana did lose his third, though. He takes a lot of medevacs away from Demuslim. Cutting off those reinforcements may have been just barely what he needs, but unfortunately cost him his base. He's established another one, and Demuslim scans it now, so both players stuck on 3, but Dana's in a little bit better of a position to cause a bit of damage. Demuslim knows that these Mutalisks will be continued to be mobile. Nothing's going to AFK. He gets a full medevac out of Demuslim. Really nice catch out of Dana. We'll call it a bit of luck for now, but gotta be careful. There's still a Thor. There's still a lot of Marines under this army. And he just doesn't have the Baneling count to move in here to auto-win, so to speak. There's some times where you'll see players, 80 Banelings. You know they're in a good spot to take a game. Loses the Overseer, but not that necessary because we don't really have a lot of Widowmines in play. Dana's been making some pretty cool moves. But unfortunately, it just feels like everything he has is just a little bit shy of what it needs to be. Like, the Baneling count is a little too low. The creep spread is a little too shallow. The Mutalist count needs to be a little bit higher. If any of these things were changed, we'd see him doing a lot of big damage to Demuslim. But what's kind of scary is in this situation where you've got a bit of downtime, where players are kind of breathing, you're kind of left with two situations as a Zerg player. Either A, go for the Infestation Pit, try and get your Hive, try and get 3-3 behind this, or apply a bit of pressure. The problem is Dana's simply taking his time to breathe, and if he does this for too long, Demuslim's going to have a really big army to deal with. Alright, what's the Baneling count currently? 23? 6 roaches. These will soak some hits, but the Baneling is, there we go, more on the way. Only 4, though. His mineral count is just so starved at this point. I like this attempt at a run by, but there's already bunkers down here. Demuslim's been expecting this for a long time. Now on 4 bases as a Terran player, starts pulling ahead really big in economics. But, actually with the army being towards the south, and Dana noticing that with that sort of run by attempt, it swoops on into this base. Banelings will take care of these initial Marines, going to roll into the SCV line and line them up. Clumping up pretty hard there. It does take some pretty heavy hits, but the thing is, Demuslim can afford these losses right now, where Dana can't. Look at these resources lost, guys. This is something that's actually pretty impressive, considering a Zerg player will usually be behind with the way Banelings trade out. But he doesn't have a 4th base. He doesn't have the economy. He can barely afford to make Banelings. That's been just kind of the tale of these last few minutes, and I don't know, unless he can take one really great engagement away from Demuslim and strip him of all of his Marines, maybe one big moment where Demuslim's clumped, that's when Dana can move in and do some real damage. But the longer Demuslim's on 4 bases, even with an inferior worker count, he's got mules. He'll be very, very comfortable moving forward in the game. And even bunkers being slapped down here. Kind of cool placement of them too, but not what you normally see. Anyways, Banelings are going to try and roll in. The Mutalisks, however, are going to be clumped up for this, unfortunately, as the Thors will get some nice volleys off, but everything targeting the ground forces instead. Demuslim will take it in the end. Congratulations! He finally qualifies after 2 different qualifiers. Demuslim 2-0 will win. And we'll see him in WCS Season 2 Challenger League, guys. Really excited for this. Oh, the misquotes in chat. I should think before I speak. That much is for sure. But again, big congrats to Demuslim. Dana played a pretty solid game. Again, always just like a bit further behind than what he could have, should have, would have been. But he's still got the ladder wildcard qualifier. The ladder wildcard qualifier will be coming out tomorrow, guys. So